In 2017, we published the first study, brain imaging study, looking at women going through menopause. 2017, the first. It's not offensive. As a woman, I think it's ridiculous.
It's offensive because we've never looked at a women's brain this way.
We've never done it before. How is that? How is that even possible? Every woman goes through menopause, and it just was not being studied at least using brain scans. But I think the brain, it's one of the most important organs that we have.
Agreed.
And more than 75% of menopausal women really have neurological symptoms, from hot flashes and night sweats to brain fog and memory lapses. So I was like, well, so many people come to us, so many women will come to us for our studies and for the Alzheimer's Prevention Clinic. I need to be able to give them an answer. So I went and said, what's been done? What do we know about the menopause brain? And the answer was basically nothing. All the studies that were done, there weren't that many studies to start with. And all the studies were done after menopause, but after by a long shot, like when women were like 70s or 80s or late 60s. So we started looking into that. And so far, still today, this is 2024, our studies, thank goodness I remember, our studies are the only studies that look at women over time using brain scans. And what we again is like, geez, can we just kind of make this a priority, please?
Agreed, because it's such a dramatic brain change that until you actually go through it, you can't put words to it. I mean, it's very difficult to explain.
I completely agree. And now we're looking at all different aspects of this transition. And what we find is that the brain starts changing before the final menstrual period, during perimenopause. Actually, the menopause transition, where women go from having a period to not having a period, that is the most intense phase for brain rewiring and remodeling. Then there's still changes, as far as I can tell at least, there are still changes for about 6 years after the final menstrual period. And then it depends. What we see, and we obviously needs to be replicated, but at least we know something, right? So what we see is that for some women, the brain eventually, these changes kind of slow down, and then they kind of plateau. For some women, there's a little bit of a rebound. So you see more energy, you see more cellular energy production, you see a little bit of even more volume in the brain, in some parts of the brain. But then for other women, it keeps declining, right? The changes keep occurring.
What's the difference?
That's what we're trying to understand. There seems to be like a family history component. So we work, the first study was all done on women who are at risk for Alzheimer's disease, because that's what I specialize in. Then we extended our cohort to women who do not have a family history of Alzheimer's. And so by comparison, we could say, well, those who do have a predisposition to Alzheimer's disease seem to be more likely to not stabilize, but to keep declining. And this is not universal, it's not 100%, but it was a higher chance of experiencing a continuous brain decline, memory decline. And that's when we start talking about Alzheimer's prevention, because it's really important to do that. But overall, to answer your first question, it looks like this brain rewiring can take up to 15 years.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's much faster. I don't know exactly what the average is, but I would say around 7 or 8 years, during which we see consistent changes for most women in the studies as well. And now we have hundreds. I would love to have hundreds of thousands, but
yes, I would love you to have that too. Let me know how I can assist you. We have lots of women that follow this podcast. That if you ever need more subjects, you let us know.
Yes, in fact, I would like to talk to you about this maybe later. There are 2 studies that we're actively recruiting for, and But first, I'm going to answer your second question.
Yeah,
please. Before I forget.
Before your menopausal brain forgets, go for it.
And I'm not even in menopause, not even close. So I can't
sorry,
afford
I didn't mean to age
No,
you
it's okay. That's totally fine. So I'm preparing. I'm actually preparing. I'm like, this is just a preview. I don't know if taking hormones would change that. My assumption is that it would just make the transition smoother. Because the transition will occur whether you take hormones or not. The point is that hormone therapy may actually alleviate the symptoms. It won't change the process. The process needs to happen, I think.
Right.
But it'll make it smoother. It'll make it easier for you, for some women at least, to go through.